I think it goes back to the first impression I had about Brazil. That everyone is just warm and friendly and wants to get to know you, and they seem to be a really open and friendly people. And it was a little bit different from here in the United States because like almost everyone you greeted, they would greet you with a hug. It wasn't just like a handshake, hey, how are you? It was, oh, sister, brother, come here, give me a hug. And that was really cool. I definitely picked up the habit, just going around giving people hugs, and I loved it. So
I love Brazilian culture, and I especially love the northeastern culture. It's incredible. They are so loving. Sometimes we'd be lost, and we'd ask someone for directions. This is incredible. Yeah, I remember a specific experience. I was with one of my companions, Elder Hikart, and we asked someone, and this would happen many times, but I remember this specific reason or this specific experience. So yeah, we just asked someone on the street to help us find this address. Or no, not even that. We just said, hey, do you know where this house number is? And this guy was like, no, I didn't see it, but I'll help you find it. So he walked with us for like 10 minutes, just stopped whatever he was doing and helped us find that house. And it's just so incredible. They're just so helpful and super friendly in all aspects. Yeah, so wonderful. I love Pernambucanos. They are awesome.
I love the Brazilian people. When I was first called to Brazil, one of my basketball coaches and one of my kind of life mentors, he was also called to Brazil, and he told me, man, you're going to fit in Brazil. You're going to love the people because they love life, and they're fun and they're funny. And I kind of said, oh yeah, I'm sure, whatever. I get there, I'm like, man, it's true. The Brazilian people, they love life. They love laughter, especially in Fortaleza. There's nothing like the people there. I've never been a part of a culture where it's just such a friendly culture, and once you get to know them, and they're just such a fun people.
Yeah, the people are what made me fall in love with Brazil. The culture is just so open and loving, and it's like, I don't know, there's just this different feel that they're really family oriented, and it's so different from here. People are a lot louder and they have a lot more energy, I would say, than Americans do as well. A lot of the time, they just the way the structure and like the buildings and stuff were, they didn't have glass windows. There were lots of walls and different things that were up. But they kind of have a culture of sharing, like basically what's yours is mine kind of a thing. And you kind of get that with the different elders too. The Brazilian elders were very much like, they would eat everyone's food, or like they'd always be like, oh yeah, go ahead and eat my food. So that was something to get used to, because it's so much different. Us as Americans, like, we're used to being like, oh, I bought this and this is mine and I keep it. So but it was so cool. They always loved feeding people. Even just going door to door, there someone would be like, oh, hey, we're making this, would you want some? Or like, hey, we just made some juice, like you want some? The food was so good. I loved it because it seemed like, it was all homemade. People wouldn't eat out like we do here, except for maybe in the richer areas they had a McDonald's. But usually it was like the really rich people that would go there, because McDonald's was way more expensive. But just your basic family, like the mom would always make, it was always rice and beans was at every meal. Usually there'd be chicken and their salad, but their salad was usually just tomatoes. Not really lettuce, but it was so good because every mom or every home kind of had a different twist on the way that they would make the rice and the beans, so it never tasted exactly the same. And so I liked that part too.
They're very friendly by nature. They're very kind. Anybody will have a conversation with you just about any time of the day. You can be walking down the street and you can ask somebody what they believe or something like that, and they'll have an honest conversation with you. They're willing to serve. They're willing to talk. Most people will talk to you, and when I first got down there, this was a shock for me, is they're close talkers. they'll be, a couple inches from your face, and they'll be in a very intense conversation with you. And if you're not expecting it, you're kind of like, whoa, you're in my face. Like, they're very close. They would love it when we would rave about their food. And we would, because it was always very delicious. And so one thing that we notice is complimenting them throughout the meal. Telling them that you love their food, that this is so good, that you're grateful for it, that you probably couldn't do what we're going to do today without this sister preparing you a meal.
So I love Brazil, probably a little bit too much. They know how to make you feel like family in a sense. There's this thing that Brazilians do when they meet you, and they treat you like they've known you for the longest time. They treat you like a relative they haven't seen for a couple Christmases, And it's always this really sweet reunion, kind of a celebration. And that is something that I've always wanted, to bring with me, is whenever I meet people, I want them to feel like we might have known each other, I want it to feel natural, just like, kind of flow. So that's something I love, love, love about Brazil. They're also very, decorative people. So, pretty much everything they do is they put presentation into it. I mean, Brazilian cakes, regardless of how they'll taste, will look super good. They'll look super fancy. I mean, the wardrobe when it comes to parties and stuff, they make sure it's all out. Even parties for little kids, they'll throw parties for a 1-year-old or 6-month old, I guess. And it's just the event of the neighborhood. It's kind of funny because this kid pretty much has no idea what's going on, but they're gonna have the whole photo booth set up, everyone in the neighborhood invited, the fanciest cakes and decorations, and it's they really go big or go home. They just go big. Another aspect of Brazilian culture that I love is they call it the jeitinho, which jeito means way, means almost like style, you can say. And jeitinho means the little way. And it's this knack Brazilians have to always make something work out. They are the most resourceful people. If something's broken, they'll find a way to fix it. If they feel like they run into a dead end, they'll find a way around it. And that's something I really didn't realize that in America here. We're just like, okay, well, if it's broken, get another one, that kind of thing. Which is really common. But Brazilians will always find a way. And generally, that means you'll see some really weird things happening. People will be driving a wagon with a motor down the street. You're things that are maybe you shouldn't find a way to do that. But you know what I mean? That's kind of the mindset there. And so they're really resourceful. They don't give up easily. So Brazilians love to tease. I mean, it's part of the culture. It's how they interact. It's how they, it's kind of what you do with your friends. You tease them, give them a hard time. Brazilians love to do it, and they're really good at it. So if you don't have a tough skin, now's probably a good time to start working on it. But I remember we ate at this lady's house, and cool, just awesome member, really loving, and I told her I was American, and she did not believe me. And so you have a big black population in Brazil, and they're just really mixed people. So they come in every variety of shade and color. And so she and this is kind of close to the end of my mission. I was very flattered, of course, but she was just like, okay, you're not American, you're Brazilian. And I was like, oh, stop it, oh, stop it, But she just did not believe it. So she's like, okay, fine. And so in her wisdom, the best way she thought of to prove that I was Brazilian was to have me sing a song. So she's like, sing a song. And I was like, what song? She's like, I don't know, an American song. So I sing an a cappella song by Inside Out. I just sung the chorus or something. It's a little fun and soulful. And she looked at me for a little bit. She was like, I still think you're Brazilian. And perfect English, I nail this song. And she's just like, right. Which is super, super, super funny. But yeah, that's one good thing to remember. Brazilians will tease you. And they're very direct. And so there were several times I'd walk into someone's house and they'd be like, Elder, you are so much fatter than you were yesterday. And I'd be like, thank you. You just come with it. Or you walk in with a zit and they're like, oh my gosh, you have a giant zit on your forehead. And you're like, I know it was, you're like, I know, I can feel it, But, and but that's how they do it. And so they're not trying to offend you. They're not trying to rough you up there. It's a way of bonding in a sense. It shows proximity,
I loved working with the Brazilians. They were amazing. One of the things that I admire most about them is their dedication to God. They are very, very religious people. And a lot of them worship in different ways. And they respected us for what we did. and I respected them when they would decline. It doesn't mean that I necessarily just gave up. I would definitely talk to them about our church, but they have a very, very relaxed culture. They work when they need to work, and they play when they can play, and it's very fun. They're very, very fun people. They're super just willing to listen, willing to be around you, and they're out there, they're exciting, they're fun, they're loud, they do a lot of really, really exciting things with their lives. And their food is amazing. Oh my goodness. We have, out here in Utah, we have Tucanos and Rodizio, but that doesn't, it can't compare to homemade Brazilian food. Their rice and beans, I never thought that I could love just rice and beans, but I could eat some of that food for days and be just fine. In fact, in my first area, it was completely Portuguese work, and because I didn't understand the language 100%, I didn't say a lot during lessons. And so these families would have us over, and I would spend most of my time listening, but while I'm listening, I need to do something so I can focus, and so I gained 20 pounds on the mission. In that first area, so in the first month and a half, I gained 20 pounds because I just ate and ate and ate and ate and ate at these dinner appointments because the food was so good. I remember one dinner that we had, she brought out 2 pans of meat, and they were just these big pans, and they were just full of this cooked meat, and I ate a pan by myself, and the other 6 people ate the other pan. So it wasn't a small group of people, but I didn't understand what was going on, so I just ate. But once I started understanding the language a little bit better, it taught me that they appreciate boldness, but they also appreciate an understanding of where they're coming from. They're just sweet people. They're incredibly sweet and incredibly great people.
I love the Brazilian culture. It's very diverse. It's very much kind of like the way that when we think about American culture, we don't really think about one thing in particular. And the Brazilian culture is kind of the same way. It's very diverse. There's a lot of people from different backgrounds. In general, they're very happy. They're very conversational. They're open. They'll talk with you. And they're very direct. I had companions that, you know what, they're not afraid to go out and ask a girl on a date, like these things that we talk about in our culture. They're very and I think it probably varies based on the personality of the person, but as a culture, it's very out there, it's very vibrant, and they're very loving. They understand these ideas of a family, and accepting other people. If you are, and I think this is true for most of Latin America, if you are open, you're interested to know about them and to listen, then they will accept you with open arms. It doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is. They're very accepting.
To say hi to each other, you give each other a hug, and then you put cheek to cheek, and then you do this kiss, so and it's great. I don't know why I love it so much. It's just you hug. And then in America, it's just hey, how you doing? Keep your distance. But in Brazil, it's just come here for a hug. And sometimes I'd meet strangers on the street, and you'd have a really good conversation. Even if they didn't, accept a visit back, you'd have a good conversation, and you just say bye to them with, the kiss on the cheek-to-cheek kiss. And then it's just great, because, everyone's so warm and friendly, and they ask how your day's going. And they give a lot of themselves. They're so giving. They know how to party. They know how to have fun. So I remember the wedding, they were just all jumping and dancing and just having a great time. Or sometimes at our family home evenings, it'd just be crazy, and we'd just be laughing and cracking jokes. And you feel I think that's why I loved it so much, because you feel just family to them. And then
you'd expect them to be like, after you leave for your mission, oh, it was great, but they'd be like, you need to come back, you need to stay in my house, I'm gonna feed you, kind of thing. They are the most kind, welcoming, wonderful people I've ever met, and I just love how crazy and energetic and happy and humble and so giving that they are. They're amazing people.
Brazilians are extremely bold. They're often like Europeans in that respect, where they just say what they think, and there is often little to no filter. So what they're saying is their honest opinion. And this makes them extremely hospitable, one. And it also makes them extremely blunt sometimes. So they are extremely loving people, open-hearted and caring. They will just take you in, make you one of their own. They will offer you as much as they have as soon as you walk in. They often have fruit trees growing outside in their houses, and they'll say, well, take some. Just take as many as you need, as you want. Just go ahead. And so they're very open. And it's carried into lots of their physical gestures as well. I mean, we'll go up to people and we'll shake their hands, maybe give a hug or something. But in Brazil, you always hug everyone. Brazilians are much more touchy-feely than Americans, and it's something that I had to adjust to a ton. I often was very, no need to touch me. One of the jokes I found was, for example, in America, it's a foreign family in a movie theater because they'll sit right next to you. Americans will always leave at least one seat gap in a movie theater or any place like that, for example. However, Brazilians, they're all family. They'll come up, as they're talking, they'll tap you on the shoulder, on the elbow, they'll grab your arm, they'll kick you with their feet or whatever, and just do these little taps and stuff. They're signs of affection and just very much culture as well. It was something that I took a lot of getting used to, but eventually I just kind of assimilated it, and I got very much used to it. And I loved being able to go up to someone and give them a hug and just hold their arm and talk to them, look them in the eyes, tap them every once in a while, just because it was normal.
So they're really, really open, really warm people. So sometimes for some Americans it can be like kind of jarring, like it's just not what we're used to. So like the general greeting of anyone you meet, like the first time, is that you shake their hand and then you kiss them on both cheeks. And so like everyone, like when you first meet them, that's what you do. It's almost like I got so used to it that I had to like make sure I didn't do it when I came home, because even also when you hug anyone, so if you know them better and you start to hug them, then you still kind of like air kiss the side sort of a thing, and I had to like make myself stop doing that when I came home because I got really used to it.